Today I wanted to do this comparison video. So surprisingly, I've had a lot of people asking me, should I upgrade my iPhone 7 to the iPhone XR? Yes, so I think this is a very good move because the iPhone XR is actually in a very sweet spot. It's at a great price. And it definitely has very good specs for what you're getting here. So let's just go over the price real quick. You can pick the iPhone 7 up for around $125. I have the link down below to both of these guys. It's still one of the best $100 phones I think that you can get. The iPhone XR you can pick up for $300. So I think this is a phone that a lot of people are contemplating picking up for the holidays. So let's go ahead and go over the hardware here. So we do have a premium design on both of these phones. They're both well, the iPhone 7 is actually a full aluminum body phone, so it just has a really nice matte finish to it. I really like the design on here. The XR is actually a aluminum frame and then a glass back on here, so they both feel like very premium in the hands here. The XR is definitely going to be the heavier and bigger device here. You can see the iPhone 7 is definitely a bit more on the compact side. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the displays. So on the iPhone 7, we do have a smaller 4.7-inch IPS Retina display. It is 720p plus 326 for the PPI. And then on the XR, we do have a 6.1-inch display, also 720p plus 326 for the PPI here. So the big difference is obviously going to be the size and also the slimmer bezel. So you just have a more modern look on the XR. But we do have the notch, which you may or may not care about. You do sort of learn to ignore it after a while. Now they're both IPS panels, so they both kind of look the same in terms of color and stuff like that. So that is one thing that I've noticed, and they're both actually seem to do the same amount of brightness too. So as far as displays, the XR's display I think just looks better overall since it's got those slimmer bezels, and I think more people will enjoy the bigger display, mostly because of content. If you watch a lot of videos, you'll probably want a bigger display, but if you do want to keep the screen size, I would say get the iPhone SE 2020. It's got the same body, same everything, and you get to keep this really compact screen size, but it really comes down to personal preference here. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about these specs a little bit more here. So with the iPhone XR, we are on iOS 15, the Apple A12 chip, and then we also have 64 gigs of internal storage and 3 gigs of RAM. On the iPhone 7, we are on iOS 15 as well, the Apple A10 chip, 32 gigs of internal storage and 2 gigs of RAM. So we're getting way more storage on the XR. Not way more, but 32 gigs is still, it's just not a lot on the 7. 64 gigs is still not a lot, but it's better than 32. And also you get more RAM on the XR as well, so multitasking is going to be slightly better on the XR. You can see these Geekbench scores right here. You can see the XR does a much better job here with those scores. And as far as software support, the XR is going to last much longer than the iPhone 7. So I don't know how long they're going to support the iPhone 7, but I do know that the XR with just the A12 chip is just going to last longer. Now, as far as speed difference here, let's see if we can see a speed difference as far as launching apps. And XR. So again, not a massive difference there. But I will tell you this, you get way less stutters and stuff like that. How you saw this kind of stuttering, you get way less stutters with the XR. It's way more snappier, and it actually really does not stutter a lot. So you can see slightly faster. So things will feel a little bit snappier on the XR for sure. But if you can see, like the iPhone 7 is pretty quick since it's got that iOS 15 update. It just launches stuff very quickly. You would think that Apple would slow these phones down, but you can see it's just keeping up so well with this phone here. Now, once we go to PUBG, this is where you will kind of see a big difference in terms of your gaming experience here. Now, when you get into games, you will see a pretty big difference here. So with PUBG on the iPhone 7, we're able to go to smooth, but we're not able to go to extreme settings at all. We can go all the way up to HDR, but we don't have extreme FPS here. It's only ultra. But it does play smooth. Like I said, for $100, it's going to do better than a lot of phones. So it is still fairly, considering the price, a pretty decent little gaming phone for $100. Ouch. Now the iPhone XR is going to give you a pretty massive improvement. As you can see, we have HDR Extreme and we have Extreme, and we can even go up to Ultra HD on this device. It's just way smoother, and yeah, your just gaming experience is just going to be overall so much better on the iPhone XR. And also what's going to make it a much better gaming experience is that the XR has a much bigger battery. So if you are you know, a gamer, you're definitely going to enjoy not having to, you know, be by the charger constantly, because the XR is just going to give you better battery life. Alright, let's go ahead and compare these speakers. I do have them at max volume. So you are getting a pretty nice speaker upgrade. The XR is actually a bit louder and also has way more bass in these speakers. So you overall are getting a fuller sound on the XR. So let's go ahead and talk about some other features here. So there is kind of a difference with getting into your phone. Now this really varies on the person. So you do have Face ID on the XR, which works flawlessly. I don't have an issue with it. And then you have the Touch ID on the iPhone 7, which a lot of people still prefer over Face ID. So you know, it varies, but you know, Face ID is fine. It's very effortless getting into your phone that way. But I do understand a lot of people, since we do have like the mask and stuff like that, a lot of people do like the option of having a physical fingerprint scanner. Also, both phones do have NFC, and both phones are IP certified. The iPhone XR is IP67, and so is the iPhone 7 as well. I do want to go ahead and talk about image quality. Now you would be surprised here, but the cameras actually have a very similar setup, and I think they kind of take very close shots in good lighting. The only difference I saw was a slight color difference. The iPhone XR does take slightly better photos in sort of like a lower light condition. That is one of the main things, but overall in good lighting conditions, they kind of take the same shots actually. So on the iPhone 10 you do have a, or the XR, you do have a 12 megapixel lens, 4K video at 24/30/60, and then a 7 megapixel selfie at 1080p, and it takes photos perfectly fine. Like I said, I didn't see a massive upgrade when I put the pictures side by side, only in lower light situations. The iPhone 7 does have a single lens as well, a 12 megapixel standard 4K at 30 frames. So you do have a 7 megapixel selfie that shoots in 1080p. And the iPhone 7 takes photos, again, I think phenomenal photos for $125. I mean, I've looked at a lot of phones for like the $100 price range, and they don't take photos or videos anywhere near as good as this phone. So I would say, again, just to reiterate that, the XR takes better photos in sort of like a lower light condition. They both unfortunately don't have an ultra wide or telephoto or something like that, but you know, they both do a fairly good job. Upgrade that you will have is definitely battery life. So with the iPhone 7 you are getting a 1960 milliamp battery, and then you do not have wireless charging, so just take note of that. The XR, you do have a 2942 milliamp battery, 15 watt charging with wireless charging as well. So everything about the battery experience is just going to be better on the XR. Not only does the 7 do around 4 hours of screen on time, and that's with good battery health, the XR is going to give you around 6 hours and 30 minutes of screen on time. So you're overall just getting a much better battery life on the XR, and also again that wireless charging. So I definitely think it's worth the upgrade, mostly for the speed of the A12 chip. I think is definitely a nice upgrade. And then you also do have better battery life as well as a bigger screen. Cameras are, I just don't see the massive upgrade to me, especially since the XR just has one camera like the 7. But yeah, so what do you guys think? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.